Welcome to Event Radio, covering local drag racing, stock car racing, motorcycles, go-karts. If it's got wheels and you can race it, you'll hear about it here. Event Radio is motorsports radio on steroids. Now, let's join your hosts, Spivvy Williams and Terrible T Guy.
All right, guys, welcome to Event Radio, day number 3 of the Hot Rod Reunion. Man, are we... How about the crowd? A little bit bigger?
A little bit larger, a whole lot larger.
Yeah,
I wish we're saying this is, we're halfway done through this because 3 days is just not long enough.
That's right.
All the events and cars that's out here.
I thought we were going to have the AirVac guys drop us in here. There's traffic all the way... almost back to Cemetery Road. And, guys, we know a lot of y'all don't know where that is, but that's actually about a mile before you ever get to Beach Bend Road.
That's where people died waiting to get in.
Yeah, there you go. There goes one of my favorite cars right there, T-Bone. But, this is going to be a killer day at the Hot Rod Reunion. Everything is leading up to today. That's why they do all this. In concluding tonight, the Cackle Fest. And if you do not know what the Cackle Fest is, they take all of the old vintage fuel dragsters and fuel funny cars, and the ones that they can push start like they used to back years ago, they do that, but they line them all up and down the drag strip, and they're all running at the same time. And, boy, if you have never witnessed that, it's dark with all the fire coming out of all the headers. It is quite a sight to see.
I don't know why they call it the Cackle Fest. If anyone didn't know when seen that, they think it's the end of the world. Yeah,
well, I don't know what is going to happen at the end of the world, but it's sure not going to be much louder. I guarantee you that. This is going to be a fun day. We're going to cap it off. We've had some really good interviews on day 1 and day 2, but you just stand back and wait on day 3. We're going to give you some folks that you have only read about. We're going to interview some guys that need recognition that maybe didn't get it. And a lot of real nice folks. Some of the street rod guys, we're going to talk to them. But we're going to have a lot of fun at this deal. What do you think, Dave?
It'd be hard not to have any fun like this, baby.
You see old vehicles coming in that
old
have
buddies.
that have the old Safety Safari logos on them. You can sit here. Here comes 2 or 3 32 Fords. Here comes all kinds.
You expect to see the Beach Boys tooling down.
Yeah. That's all they like. We're going to have to get on Rex and tell him to pipe in some Beach Boys music all the way up here next to the front gate. But we're going to get off here, recognize our sponsors as we always do. We can't say enough about them. Beach Bend Raceway, Beach Bend Park, and Splash Lagoon.
Quick Fuel, Final Finish.
And the Gearhead Gazette. That'll always show you how to get to the coolest stuff going on out there. GearheadGazette.com. But we appreciate each and every one of them. Let's go down the hill, T-Bone, and see some Hot Rod Reunion Day 3.
Let her go.
We'll be right back with you guys. All right, guys, we're at the, believe it or not, I run into my old buddy here that I've known for 100 years, and I run into him at the Reynolds Hilton. The Reynolds Hilton, you may not know where you are, but the Reynolds Hilton is a staple at any good event here because these guys cook, they do all kinds of stuff. But the very famous half of the Thornberry and Siegel Top Fuel car, I've got the Siegel half with me.
You got
Tom,
it.
how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
If I was any better, I'd be a fat twin. Buddy, what do you think of the Hot Rod Reunion?
I love it. I tell you what, I come down here every year, and it seems like it gets better and better, and the crowds get bigger. But it just, man, it's tough getting in and out of this place,
Well, now, I tell you what, bud. See, if you'd call on your old fat buddy, when they had that line all the way back into town, I could have showed you how to get in here in about 10 minutes.
Well, I'll do that next year then.
Well, actually, there is another way, and it's called Garvin Lane. When you go out,
Right.
you'll see it to the right.
Right.
You can go in that way. Terry and I actually came in here this morning in about 15 minutes.
Is that coming back through the old farm?
Sort of, yeah, sort of.
Now, Mr. Garvin, years ago, he used to tell us
No, not that way.
Okay,
no, this is a legit city street, not like you boys. They're used to blazing your own trail.
Yeah, this was going through the pastures, and we had to close the gates behind us and all that kind of stuff.
No, we're better than that, bud. This is paved, everything.
Oh, good.
Say, our buddy Bill is not feeling real well.
No, Bill's not doing good at all. He was blacking out, and they called EMS, and he flatlined a couple of times on him, and they got him to the hospital, and he flatlined a couple of times there, and they give him some shock and brought him back, and come to find out they had to do a defibrillator in him, and they put that in there, and they seemed to be doing pretty well. And now he's got a blood clot in his lung, and that concerns him pretty well,
So he backsided a piston on us. Daggone it.
He backsided a piston.
What
yes.
a great guy. One of my favorite people of all time,
well,
Mr. Bill Thornberry. He is a really, and you know this more than anybody because y'all were partners forever. But he is a really talented man.
Yes, he is. He come up with a lot of ingenuities on things. A lot of people don't know, but we were probably the first ones to ever have an electric starting dragster or a dragster with a reverser in them.
Yeah,
and, a lot of people don't know that, and that really don't mean much today.
Well, it does because when you figure Bill didn't want to push that thing anymore,
No, well, he never did do much pushing anyway,
Yeah, there you go. So what's my buddy doing now? You street rodding, aren't you?
Yes, I belong to the Oklahoma Street Rods. I'm the president of the Oklahoma Street Rods right now, and into the street rodding, and I talked to Bobby Hilton a whole lot. Bobby's building street rods, and we talk street rod stuff all the time, which Bobby was one of our drivers at one time,
Oh, but yeah, we were all buddies back then.
Yeah.
Bobby's a good guy too. Wasn't John into go-karts or something?
John, I think John's still into go-karts, and the whole Hilton family, they're a great bunch of guys and just die-hard racers.
I tell you what, other than Roland Young, you guys had a bunch of drivers. We
went through a bunch of them.
Now, did Palmer ever drive with y'all, or was he Jack Hart still?
He no, he drove for us. He drove for us on 2 different occasions, And, of course, Mike, he was...
you fired him twice, is that it?
Fired him twice.
Okay.
And, Mike, he was into everything at that time, including girls.
I understand.
And he was a hard guy to catch, even at the races sometimes.
There you go. There you go. Well, now, we started... let's see, I guess it was yesterday's show-off. We wanted to start off real calm in this radio deal, so our first guest was Dale Funk.
Oh, my God. Boy. There ain't no way I can compete with that guy.
Well, you're a whole day after Dale. A lot of that has worn off. So.
Yeah, he's kind of chilled out a little bit.
But you're all on with Gartlets, so,
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that Don is so much... A lot of people don't know he's really as smart as he is. He's a brilliant man.
Very intelligent.
But he believes in the UFOs and all that stuff, and we went through that on this interview, so people are going to find out a lot about him that they really didn't know,
Right. He's a super intelligent guy, and a lot of guys have problems with him, but me and him speak and we shake hands and we go on with it,
Yeah, sure. Let me ask you something. Tom Siegel, Mr. Ag Racing?
Well, yes, I do.
You're honest, buddy.
Yeah,
that's cool.
The street. I wouldn't be here if I didn't. The street rodding's nice, and I go to some of the national events a year, but I don't know if I could do it today.
Really, it's just
a lot of work.
Man, there is a lot of work to it.
Yes,
and it's
yes.
We all we had fun, and we wouldn't miss it, I guess, for the world as far as changing anything.
Well, a lot of it's changed as far as people. Back then everybody helped each other, and today it's kind of I'm for me and the heck with everybody else.
It's turned into a business, buddy. It's
exactly.
not. It's no longer a fun thing. It's a business, and I think that's what makes Hot Rod Reunion so much fun and so cool. This is back to having fun, and it's not
right.
I mean, of course, winning's serious. I don't care who you are, but still, this is back to having fun, and this is where it started. This is what did it, and I said yesterday in the show, I feel sorry for people that never were around when we were around to see this stuff when it was in its heyday.
Well, my son there, he's 45 years old now, and he used to come down here when he was 10 years old, and he told my daughter there, he said, boy, this place sure brings back a lot of memories.
Is this your daughter?
That's my daughter, Kara.
Kara, honey, come here. Come over here. I want to know, how did a guy like this come up with a daughter as pretty as you are?
Good genes.
Oh, whoa. There's such a thing as daddy's girl, and I just ran into her, for Father's Day here, okay?
Right. Good genes from Mama and Papa. How about that?
I'll go along with that. I'll go along. Boy, you did good here, buddy. She's a pretty girl.
Yeah, I've got 2 more just like her, too.
They always said all good things come in threes.
Exactly.
See, that's it. Oh, you're a wild man, and always have been.
Yeah.
And I'm honored to say a friend for a long time.
Been a friend for a long, long time.
Yeah. Yeah. Doing the street rod deal, and maybe you can help me here, because I've been thinking about that. I've been sort of going that way, but I need to find something about it that's just a little more exciting than getting a lawn chair and just sitting there.
Well,
is there something? What am I missing?
Well, the thing about being in the street rodding, you get to help a lot of the guys that are building new cars, and you kind of stick with the automotive part of it, and use your ideas and kind of put it all together. And it's pretty nice to see a car come from nothing to a beautiful machine,
Oh, yeah. Well, let me ask you something. The only one that I can imagine a really cool street rod, but it would have Dave Huber on the front as a hood ornament. Is that a crazy vision or what?
Well, no, I guess that's a
Huber.
possibility.
Hey, listen, Huber goes everywhere that there's anything cool. You can always tell when you go into an event or you go to a street rod run or wherever you go, if Huber's there, hey, this is on the mark.
Well, only thing I can say, he must be heavily financed, because the gas as high as it is today and the motel bills and all this kind of stuff.
That doesn't slow Huber down.
No, not at all.
He called me last night. They had that little incident out here late.
Right.
It's about 10:30, and Terry and I have been out here all day long doing radio. And, boy, I get there, and I said, oh, man, good, we get to kick back for a while. We went to the hotel and watched the burnouts.
Right.
We did all that stuff. I go home, sit down, Susie, fixes dinner and stuff, and we have dinner, and we're sitting there. Telephone rings, 11 o'clock. It's Huber. He's still up and going,
Yeah, well, that sounds like him,
yeah, I'd love to have his energy.
Yeah, he has got a lot of energy. There's no doubt about it, with all the things that he does and all the things that he does with the Kentucky
Motorsports
Hall of Fame
Yeah.
and all the different organizations that he's a part of. And, boy, I'll tell you, I don't know how he does it,
Well, he's got to have a big ass on his chest for something.
Yeah, that's for sure,
Yeah. Listen, my friend, I appreciate more than you know. Number one, getting to see you, and these events are way too far apart because we never get to see old friends. Number two, thank you for all the wrench turning and everything you did to make so many people happy with the Thornberry and Siegel Top fuel car, because you had followings from one end of the coast to the other. And number three, thanks for just being a good guy.
Well, Spivey, I really appreciate that. I've been a friend of yours for a lot of years, and I hope we continue to be friends.
Hey, we're going to be that way for a long time, buddy.
We're all getting up there in age now. We lost Mr. Stebbins this year.
Yeah,
and,
Bill, I have Bill's last interview.
Oh, do you?
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, and I more respect for Bill than probably anybody I know. I told him, I said, Bill, you're the only guy I've ever met that could probably weld 2 pieces of paper together with a match.
Yeah, that's true.
But
that's very true.
But he built awesome. Well, both of you built awesome race cars.
Yes, yes.
And man, it was just cool. Now that's all you can say.
Bill was just a super nice guy. That's all you can say about him.
And that's really all anybody needs to say about anybody.
Right, that's true.
And you're one too, my friend.
Well, I appreciate that.
All righty, guys, we're gonna see if we can find a hot dog somewhere in this place. It's been a long time. As you can see, if you know me, I don't miss many meals. So we're going to have to get out of here and go right a while. But my good friend, Mr. Tom Siegel, thank you for being on Event Radio. It has been our honor and our pleasure to have you. And, boy, you did good on daughter. She is a gorgeous little gal.
Thank you, Spivvy.
All right. We'll be right back, guys. All right, guys. We are back from Hot Rod Reunion. We come to a absolutely cool hot rod called the Down Under Thunder. And it has a kangaroo on the side. Tell us why that is.
Okay, Steve, it's got a kangaroo on the side because in my before I moved to America, I actually lived in Australia.
Yeah, sort of. You'd never know that, with your accent. I'm sure that we figured out you're not from like Smiths Grove, Kentucky, or Mobile, Alabama, or anywhere like that.
Steve, as I've tried to tell most of the 300 million people I've met in America, it's not me that's got the accent; it's you lot.
That's what it is. You can't understand us. See, we say y'all and all that stuff, and we confuse the whole issue.
Y'all, yeah. It is amazing, actually, what you people have done to the English language.
We've really screwed it up, haven't we? That's what we do. Well, I tell you what, the beauty part about this little program that you're on is that you can call them up in Australia and they can listen to you on this because this is internet done worldwide. So,
well, fantastic.
We get to introduce you to a lot of. So you only know 300 million of them.
Well, I haven't met every one of them yet.
Okay, all right. Well, we wanted to make sure you meet them all.
Yeah.
I mean, good guy, funny car guys need to meet the world.
Yeah, it is true. Actually, since I've been racing the funny car, I have met a huge number of great people all across America. I've been privileged to race at a dozen racetracks around the Midwest, and I went to Bakersfield last year, and this year here I am in beautiful Bowling Green. So yeah, we've just met some fantastic people.
You're getting better, buddy. The farther south you go, of course, you're way south when you were at home. But the farther south, and you know this, the farther south you go, the better the people get.
Oh, they are. Prettier, at least.
Well, hey, I'm telling you, buddy, we know how to grow them here. You guys got all them snakes and alligators and crocodiles and stuff. See, we know how to grow the pretty girls.
Yeah. Well, we tried you some of those snakes for some of the girls, I can tell you.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, you can bring them home with you because they're scared of the snakes. See, that's what it is. You shake one of those. Funny car racing. Did you start that in Australia, or did you do it when you're here, or what?
Well, actually, I'm originally from England, and I used to race. I used to drag race back in the late 70s.
Okay.
I started with a Topolino altered with a Jag engine in it. Then I had a couple of front engine dragsters.
Okay.
And then my business took me. I gave up because of my business, and then in the mid 90s I moved to Australia. And then in 2007 I moved to America, which of course, that's the home of drag racing in general and funny cars in particular.
Oh, how well I know, my friend.
So this was my big opportunity to have one more go before I got too old to get in one.
Well, we'll make sure you figure out a way to get in one.
Okay.
It's the getting out that's a problem. The getting in is not a big deal.
You have no idea how true that is.
I used to sit in the seat of one of those, so I know when you get more of this, you just can't get out. That's the deal. How quick is the car, buddy?
Our best time was 5:95 in October at Bakersfield, and top speed was, let me think, 240 something. That was in the World Series. We were match racing against Cruz Pedregon at the World Series.
There you go. Well, I tell you what, it's a good looking deal. I mean, it's the thing about it. It's just eye catchy enough to get this old fat boy's attention, and we see a lot of cars doing this. Yeah,
well, I know you've seen a lot of cars, and I feel very privileged that you'd even come and stop by and talk to me.
Oh, no, buddy, we like it. It's a really good friend of mine is from New Zealand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so when that movie came out, that World's Fastest Indian deal,
yeah,
he coached me on Burt Monroe because he knew Burt Monroe, the real guy.
Yeah.
And he gave me all the insight. He said, "Oh no, what the movie portrayed was exactly the way he was. I mean, he poured the pistons, he did all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
So it's you guys coming from across the pond. It's a little harder to get the speed parts.
Well, it's certainly more expensive in Australia, and drag racing's big in Australia. Actually, there's a really great nostalgia funny car series been put together last year by Graham Cowan down there, and they've got a dozen nostalgia funny cars that tour together. But we use the same parts. They come from the same place here. They just cost a little bit more because they got to
a little harder to get.
They got to come from the other side of the planet. But other than that, we use just the same stuff.
I didn't know UPS had those brown boats that they would run up to there.
I'm pretty sure they do. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. You having fun?
Mate, every day. I'm telling you, I am living my dream, and being here at Bowling Green is part of that dream. I got to tell you.
Well, we are privileged and honored to have you here, and it's cool, guys. You know, you need to always expand your horizons. You need to always meet people, and the beauty part about drag racing, you never meet a stranger.
No, it's a fact. We've got so many friends now, and you know, people come up and see us at one racetrack or another, and they remember us from the last track they went to, or maybe they didn't see us since last year, but they come up and greet us like we're old friends. So we love it.
All right, we're going to save you a phone call. Anybody in Australia you need to say hi to?
Well, actually, I'd like to say hello to everybody in Australia. If they're listening to this, they deserve to be said hello to. So,
okay, all right.
Good day, everybody, and we wish you were here. And we've got another run in another couple of hours. So if you log on to bangshift.com, you'll be able to watch us live, I'm assured. So
that's right. That's right.
The thing to do.
And you can go to eventradiolive.com, and they can listen to you.
Even better.
They don't have to just watch you. You can talk to them.
There you go. Okay, so eventradio.com and bangshift.com. Get to it.
That's it, buddy. That's it. Listen, thank you so much for taking the time to be on here with us. We really appreciate it. And we appreciate you being here. We appreciate you putting the show on that we know you will. And you, there's no doubt you have the world's fastest kangaroo.
We do indeed.
Thank you,
Steve. Appreciate it.
You, buddy.
Bye-bye.
We appreciate it. Guys, we will be right back. No telling who we'll run into next from the Hot Rod Reunion. But we appreciate you joining us, and hang right in there. Okay, guys, we're back at the Hot Rod Reunion. We're having just too much fun, and the hits just keep on coming here. The gentleman we ran into, tell everybody who you are.
Well, my name is Tom Mocher. I run a fuel-altered called Drastic Plastic. It's a 1948 Anglia. It's more of a transformer. It's a 125-inch car and everything.
Yeah, but it's the fastest one in the world.
It is. We run a 528 275. If we'd have run 277, we'd hold the mile per hour too. But
who holds that one? Who's
Ron Fazel.
Okay.
He ran a 29 at 276, but I'm happy with the ET.
Okay, now what's the connection here?
Oh, me and Dale go back 40 years probably.
Oh, do you?
Yeah. We raced with Norm Day. I've raced with Dale.
Oh, I know Norm. I know Norm well.
Everybody knows Norm.
Oh, yeah, everybody knows old Norm. Matter of fact, I'll tell everybody in the free world, I pulled the biggest joke on Norm probably. It actually made magazines. We lined his helmet with gray tape. And when he took the helmet off, you know what happened.
Yeah.
He did. We made sure he did it in front of cameras.
Well, of course, you got to get footage of it, you know.
Actually, I used to match race some with Norm when he ran the Gartlett's deal, the Gartlett's car. Okay. We ran in Memphis. We never could beat him. He always beat us, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And so what we did one night at the hotel, I helped CJ carry in his luggage. And I found out what room he was in.
Look out.
I called the front desk, and I told him, I said, hey, I'm Mr. Day in room number so-and-so. I'm on some special medication. I'm going to scream and yell and gripe, but you got to call me every 2 hours. And I said, no matter what I say to you, call me back. He came the next day, buddy. His eyes were redder than the arrow on that trailer, and we actually did put it on him that day, you know.
That's
and
good.
He doesn't know that, so don't you tell him, okay?
Well, I drove a car called Blind Faith years ago. I was helping out Dave Edstrom.
Yeah, sure.
And he could see images, but he really couldn't see. So we're standing outside a hotel getting rooms, and we got a cooler there.
Uh-huh.
It's like, Dave, I really got to go. But somebody's got to be there with him because he can't see.
Yeah.
So I opened the pit cock on the cooler and let it dribble for a while, and Dave's like, we're in front of the place. Nobody can see, Dave. We're by the bushes. I let it run for about 3 minutes. He says, you have got the biggest kidneys I ever seen.
There you go. There you
ball.
Go. Hey, I'm telling you what. Is drag racing fun or what?
Oh, nothing but. I mean, Austin Coyle's the guy that taught me. I'm a Chicago boys guy. So it's just been awesome.
Well,
awesome.
Well, I tell you what, I've been around it for, I don't need to tell you how many years because I'm an old guy, but had a bunch of fun. I like to kid Dave Harada because he and a fellow by the name of Randy Dreer are big buddies. And Randy says, anytime you're around Dave, you got to be nice to him, you know. And I said, okay. I said, it ain't that hard to do, Dreer.
No,
you know,
no.
Anyway, they're good people. Well, listen, I appreciate you. You said you were worried about us being on the radio. Trust me, don't worry about us. We're the good guys.
All right. Good.
And we won't do anything but try to help, I promise.
Perfect.
Thank you so much for joining us on
my,
Event Radio.
My pleasure.
It is our pleasure to have you. We're going to try to get Dave on here, and I know we'll have to get the autographs out. You know, if we slow him down that long enough, you know, they'll all be wanting signed autographs.
You almost need to get him and Dad together.
Oh, I can't take it. I don't have enough radio time.
Well, Dave's got to fill some big shoes.
Hey,
I'm
telling you what. We had, and I'm going to ask him about this on the air, but I'll clue you in so you'll know. When I had Kenny on here, he was talking about him and Roland Leon being such buddies, and every time Roland would come across the country, he would stay at his house. Well, Kenny's wife, or Dave's mom, would do the laundry. And she said everybody in the neighborhood thought we lived at Holiday Inn because all the towels had all of Roland's towels had Holiday Inn on them, you know.
Oh, for
and
sure.
He said, it got me in trouble in the neighborhood. But anyway, nice people, good guys.
No problem.
Great racers, a whole family of it, you know.
Yes.
And we appreciate you taking the time.
Oh, no, this is still fun and everything, and I love it. I love it.
Well, he almost turned into a crispy critter, so we're going to talk to him about it. And
well, the thing, with the motor in front of you, it throws stuff at you.
I know. But trust me, if there's a guy out here that can handle it, he's the young man that can handle it.
He's loving it.
I bet he is. My friend, thank you for being on Event
Thanks
Radio.
for having me on.
Hey, we'll be right back, guys. All right, guys, it's very seldom that we get to run into pairs of guys that both of them are superstars in this deal. And we get this ought to be a really good interview because anytime you get dad and son together, I'm a little nervous about what's going to happen. I don't mind telling you.
We've always agreed on everything.
I know you have. I know you have. Joining us, guys, the absolute living legend, Mr. Kenny Harada, the number one guy here that's going to be the legend. And I think now, Kenny, you're going to have to say I'm Dave Harada's dad. I think there's more going to know you.
I know I'm the Dave Harada's dad.
Yeah. Well, now Mr. Dave Harada has joined us. And before we get started, I absolutely promised my dear friend Randy Dreer that I would be nice to both you guys.
I don't believe that.
Yeah, he said he would
be paying you some money or something.
Yeah, he said he would haunt me if I didn't. You know, buddy, you almost turned into a crispy critter a few minutes ago, didn't you?
You know, these cars are just they're crazy. I don't understand why we do this other than we just love adrenaline. But yeah, that was my best oil bath. It was it was a shower.
Could you not see where you were going?
Yeah.
I doubt if you could, huh?
It was trucking. I mean, this car's been absolutely awesome this weekend, straight down the track. And when it lets go, or whatever happened, it just instant oil, can't see, and all you do is try to get it stopped and not damage the car. But
well, I know you've had some hairy stuff in the rear engine A fuel car, but this has got to be a totally different deal for you.
Yeah, the sensations are so much more faster because you can't see, and that's the biggest thing. I always tell people, on your way home, stick a book in front of your face, and you'll get those sensations. And we just do it at 250 miles an hour.
Yeah, just try to stay in the middle of the interstate with that arrow.
Yeah, I mean, try it sometime.
And then take a Coke and just throw it at you and get all that on you, too.
That's what it was.
Yeah, there you go.
So the rush is
And
just
actually, buddy, you lit her up pretty good because we saw the glow from in here. Of course, this ain't our first rodeo. We see a lot of that stuff, and so we know what's happening when it happens, And you were very much a concern of ours. You may not know that, but you were.
Yeah, things happen pretty quick, and the thing is, I didn't see red. I assumed it wasn't on fire. It was more about getting the car stopped and making sure that.
It looked to me like it was on fire.
Yeah, see, I didn't know. So.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Kenny, what about the boy? Is he?
I'll tell you what, I couldn't ask for a better son. Not only is he a hell of a racer,
Yeah.
he manager to the business. We got 3 separate business under one corporation, and he does a hell of a job.
Well, he's a pretty good guy.
Yes, he is.
Now, Randy didn't pay me to say that either. I want you to know.
I know. God bless my mom.
Yeah, that's right.
David's got 2 older sisters, and I got 3 children, and none of them come home or none of them call up and say, "Dad, we need some money
There you go. There you go.
Mimi, my oldest daughter, she's the assistant publisher at HRR magazine. And she's got a good job. My second daughter, I've got an antique shop in Indianapolis, and then I got David.
All right.
He's a pride and joy. You know?
Okay, Dave, what was it like growing up in the Harada household and having guests like Roland Leong drop in for the weekend?
Yeah, I remember as a kid, I'm getting to do what I want to do as a kid, and I don't think not a lot of people get to do that, but I take it for granted with Roland because I talk to him maybe weekly now. We go to California, I stay at his house, and he's just family. And then at my age now, I sit back and go, that's Roland Leong. He's chewing me out. and
well, you best listen. You best listen.
Yeah, a little bit.
All right, now, Kenny, I want you to tell everybody the story you told me when Roland visited you and your wife did the laundry and the towels hanging out. Everybody thought you were running, what, a Holiday Inn, was it?
You know what happened was the crew, instead of taking a shower at night, they washed their hand from the elbow down, and they washed their face from the neck up, and they go to bed.
Yeah.
And get up the next morning to take the shower. And my wife said, Roland, the towels are dirty, the pillowcase is dirty, and the sheets are dirty. I can't get them clean anymore. He said, well, you know how that goes. And then they went out east to mattress. Come back 2 weeks later, and a stack of sheets, a stack of pillowcases, and a stack of towels. Well, the towels at that time had in green Holiday Inn.
Yeah, I've seen those.
So my wife would wash them and hang them out on the clothesline outside. And the neighbor lady said, Gio, where'd all them Holiday Inn towels come from? She said, she said, Roland's father owned the Holiday Inn.
Oh, whoa.
And give us all the old towels. And that was good enough,
Oh, I tell you what, nothing like drag racers, boy. You guys give them answers. There's no doubt. Dave probably thought he was living in a Holiday Inn for a long time. Or something.
And when Dave was a little kid, Roland said, send David to California. So we took him to the airport. I paid the stewardess there. I give her $20. I watched the kid for me. She took care of him all the way to California. Roland was waiting for him. Then they came back on his hauler, and he stayed in the hauler. And I said, how's the hauler? He said, he said, on the ceiling, I slept in the hauler, on the ceiling of the hauler, he said, Roland had a whole bunch of naked girls pictures on there.
Well, he's breaking you in right, buddy. There's no doubt about it.
Who's going to send their 10-year-old to travel back with Roland Leong? I mean, you learn a lot of stuff you didn't realize you learned until you were 18.
Yeah, but you were really in pretty good hands, buddy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can remember that stuff like it was yesterday.
Yeah, well, that's how much better memories could a young guy have?
Oh, yeah. I mean, doing this and I mean, like I said, it's living a dream. You hear that all the time, but really living a dream, and it's a great life.
Let me ask you something for the fun factor. I know you go really fast with the A-Fuel car, and you are a national threat everywhere you go. Which is more fun to you, the A-Fuel car or the fuel front engine car?
Well,
now the fun factor alone. Now not, and I guess I shouldn't ask that after you almost became a crispy critter, but still I got to ask.
Well, the fun factor is this front engine car because it's the adrenaline and like I said, it's as I was told this weekend by Jim Walter, who's a Hall of Famer. He goes, it's the unknown, and that's the best way to put it. It's you get in that car and it's the unknown. With my car, it's still fun too, and I've had a lot of fun because I got someone else driving it this year, and I've had a lot of fun.
Mia Tedesco, yeah. I know about that.
She's done a great job, and I've had a lot of fun and learned from the outside of the car.
Matter of fact, we have a lot of fun with her, and I'm going to tell you a little story. We interviewed her at one of the bracket races here. We have a special decal that we'll give you, and we call it our badge of courage because, believe it or not, there are a lot more people scared of this than a cobra snake. But we had Mia on the show, and we gave her a decal, and she stuck it on one of the dragster, whatever she was on. So that day, she won $5,000. The next weekend, she won $20,000.
Oh, yeah.
The weekend after that, she won $16,000.
Yep.
I sent her a message on Facebook. I said, hey, can I have my decal back? She said, don't you even talk to me.
Well, we need a couple for this car.
Well, we're going to take care of you, buddy, on the decal. That. But it's we've been really fortunate. We get to talk to really nice guys that you know, a lot of people spend their life reading about you guys, and they don't get to actually talk to you, and they don't get to hear you, and that's where we come in. We put you out there in front of the world and let them meet you up close and personal, and find out just how good a guys you really are.
Well, we appreciate it.
Before David drove the first time in the car, he sat in the car. He said, "Dad," he holds a 8x10 book in front of him. He said, "What do you look at? How did you see where you're going?" I said, "Just you'll be okay."
Yeah.
Just come natural, and I had no doubt.
Actually, I talked to one guy, and I think a long time, I don't remember who it was, but had driven both, and both fuel cars. And he said the problem with the rear engine car is it can get out of shape before you actually figure it out.
Right.
And he said with the front motor car, when it's the least bit sideways, you know it.
Yeah,
you know?
You're the last car in the back.
Yeah,
in the
you're
back.
riding in the caboose, so you know exactly
And
what's
then when
happening.
He went
Yeah.
to Bakersfield, he called home one night. He said, "Dad, I got my first oil bath."
There you go. You be having to get some of them Holiday Inn towels, buddy. That's what
Yeah, this was the best one so far. I'm done with them.
All right.
They're no fun anymore.
Does Dad give you a lot of advice? Because he knows. Now, I mean, how many young people would like to have Kenny Harada for a teacher? Give me a break.
And, you know what? And I take him.
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
Okay.
When I get on the stage, he probably to leave.
Okay, all right.
No, it's fine. We get on great together.
Yeah, I take him for granted, and take all these people that I'm so fortunate, all these legends that I've met through my dad. That it's crazy that I'll walk around and some guy will call me by name, and I'm like, whoa. What's he calling me by first name for?
Yeah.
Because it's a drag racing pioneer legend, and I met him through my dad. So I'm very fortunate there.
Right.
How many young guys his age would take and say, "Dad, I'm going to the PRI show. Would you like to go with me?" Or, "I'm going to the races. Would you like to go with me?" They usually leave the old man home, right?
Yeah, but let me tell you something. That's
what you
drag
do.
racers in general. This place, over any ball game, over anything else, number one, it teaches you respect. And Dave, I think you'll agree with this because you started out way, way early. The car makes you respect it, whether you do or don't. If you don't, it's going to bite you.
No, you gotta respect
and
this.
there's no missing a basket and hitting the next one. There's no swinging the bat and waiting for the next ball because you got to hit the ball when the ball's out there.
You get one chance. And
That's it.
You got to be on your game, and these things will hurt you and hurt people. So respect is probably a term to use.
And when Dad talks, he went through a lot to make that ride a lot safer for you.
Oh, sure.
Because
These
it
are
was
the
nowhere
guys
near as safe when he was in it as it is now. But where my point is that when he gives you advice, you know that, man, it's carved in stone. You don't have to question it because he's been there. He's done that.
Yeah. And it's the race cars, but you know what? It's life and it's work and family, and you carry all that into whatever project you're doing. And look at that project, and you just look at the whole thing overall, but mainly to be safe and not hurt no one and have fun, and it's all facets of life.
Well, guys, you have made our day sure a fun day.
Thank you.
We try to always save day 3 of Hot Rod Reunion is saving the best for last, and that's why you're on today.
Well, we appreciate that.
We appreciate you taking the time to be on Event Radio. We get to expose you to a lot of new friends, but we get to let a lot of old friends know that you're cool and everything's all right, and he didn't turn into a crispy critter an hour ago, and all the stuff that they're going to see on Bang Shift, but they didn't get to talk to him. And now that he's okay and he's fine and ready to hook up and do it again. He's like the old gunfighter. They just give him another bullet and send me out there.
I have not realized how many people know me and David. See, they'll come up and they'll say, "I watched you back in the 60s, and they said, "Do you remember me?" Well, I wrote down the face. Give me a name.
There you go. Well, the good thing? Now, Randy told me the good thing. The statute of limitations has not run out everywhere. So now you don't want everybody to know you, okay? All right. Guys, we appreciate you joining us on Event Radio. It has been our pleasure. We have enjoyed it, I'm sure, much more than you have, but it is an honor and a pleasure to have you on our little radio show. Guys, we better say something about our sponsors or let them say it so we can stay out here for a little bit longer. We appreciate the Haradas. the absolute showmen that are here, the best that are on this ground. I don't care who you go talk to. You can go over and wave at Don Garlitz, but you want to know what's happening, you come talk to Kenny Harada. He can tell you. Guys, we will be right back. All right, guys, we're at day number 3 of Hot Rod Reunion. We're coming down through the return road, sort of, and we run into a car that just, boy, it almost made the golf cart lock up. And we have its owner here, and we're going to flash some pictures behind this show so you can see it. Tell everybody who you are, sir.
Mike Oldham from Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Boy, I tell you what, and you come to Kentucky from Fort Lauderdale? Give me a break.
It's beautiful up here. It's awesome.
Well, good. We're glad you like it. The humidity hadn't gotten here yet, so when it gets here, you may change your mind. We got to know, the race car is so unusual. Do the street rod guys, do they give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down?
No, thumbs up. It was at the Good Guys event in Kissimmee, Florida a few weeks ago, and really went over well. It's very unusual. Suncoast Race Cars built it and did all the molds and body work on it and stuff. So.
I think it's cooler than pockets on a shirt now. I mean, I think it's just really, really neat. I like it. 37?
Yeah, it's right? A 37 Ford. Of course, stretched and widened, and then we started
I'm
off
stretched and widened. That's there right here. It
started off as a roadster, and then we decided to go ahead and it has dual funny car cages in it, and then we decided to go ahead and put the roof on it.
Well, that's sort of what got my attention. It looks like the way you get in it, you got to be half contortionist to get in and out of there.
Yeah, it's got a real short door. They're about 6 inches, and then the roof swings open like a funny car.
Yeah,
escape hatch.
Yeah,
and it's awesome. It's actually street legal.
Is it really?
It's licensed, insured. Drive it on the street. I mean, it's
probably
awesome.
a little quick for a street car.
It runs real good. So,
how quick does it run, Mike?
850s.
That'll work.
Absolutely,
that'll work.
Great. And then, I mean,
you know, guys, and a lot of guys will look at that and they think, oh no, I need a swoopy Pro Mod Camaro, blah 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 blah, or whatever. But this race car is 100% cool because you can run so many different kinds of venues. You know,
absolutely. You can run several Quick 16, Top Sportsman, of course, this type of event.
Yeah, you could run the nostalgia stuff.
Absolutely.
You could run the it's just as at home at the nostalgia races as it would be the U.S. Nationals.
Absolutely.
And so, guys, which car makes the most sense? You know, I mean, our buddy Mike here is not a dumb guy from Fort Lauderdale. You know, the sun hadn't cooked you yet, buddy.
Not yet.
You're pretty sharp, you know, to do a car. What did you run before this?
I actually had a 34 Chevy B Street Roadster.
Really?
And still have it, and then we decided to do something a little bit different. We originally built it for the Hot Rod Magazine Drag Week.
Okay, yeah.
And
we covered that, by the way.
It was a great event, and we just, without having turbos on the car right now, you just can't compete.
Oh, the guy
tough.
that won that last year, we actually talked to him. And to go to that many different tracks, and I think average speed was something like 211.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
and I'm sitting there going, wow, you know, this is unreal to button that thing up. And I think maybe they may change the rear end ratio or something. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure. But guys, if you're not familiar with this event, check this out because they actually come and race the car at, I think it's 4 or 5 different tracks within a 250-mile radius.
That's correct.
And you have to bring everything you need. I mean, if you bring your wife, you got to leave something else at home, you know, because you got to have everything it's going to take to get that car through the 5 weekends or 5 days rather.
Yeah, it's 1,200 miles of average, 5 days, no support vehicles. This actually has a trailer hitch that goes on it, and I tow a trailer.
That is so cool.
It's wild, but it's really hard on part. I mean, it's just tough on everything, but it's a great event.
Oh, it is, and we met some really cool people. As a matter of fact, guys, it's if you go on our archive page on our shows, you will actually see a show completely from there that you can listen to, and I mean, it was probably the craziest thing we went to all year. You know,
it's come so far so fast. Denny, the car that won, the '69 Camaro, was built by the same gentleman, Richard Earl at Suncoast Race Cars, that built this car.
Yeah.
So he built them both, and I mean, he just builds a great car, drives great.
Looks to me like he builds a winner, huh?
I hope so.
I'd say you got it covered. I'd say you got it covered. You got it covered.
We've had such a good time here this weekend. What a great event and a great venue, and I mean, it's just been awesome. The people are awesome. So.
Well, see, you got to, and you know this, being from Fort Lauderdale, you got to be south to be cool.
Yeah,
you
there
know.
you go.
I mean, if there's not sweet tea somewhere within a 4 or 5 area, a block area, you're in the wrong part of town.
Right,
you know.
exactly.
I mean, you got to be south, and we kid that of course this little radio show we do everywhere in the country, but we don't go much farther north than Smiths Grove, Kentucky. You know,
Gotcha.
we go south and west. You know,
That's far enough.
Yeah, that's far enough north. But listen, Mike, thank you so much for joining us on Event Radio. It is our pleasure, number one, to welcome you to this area, and hope we get to see you during the Hot Rod deal.
Absolutely, it's been awesome.
They
Great
get
time.
started awful early in the morning. Terry and I don't always get up that early, but we did last year, and we did make it out here only because the guys at Holly made us.
There
They
you
held
go.
guns to our head and said, "You go do
Absolutely.
that."
Great people at Holly too.
Yeah,
Excellent.
yeah, they're good guys.
Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you for joining us on Event Radio. Guys, we're going to stab and steer, go out here and have some fun, and we will be right back. All right, guys, welcome back with us. We're coming down through the pit area. We run into 2 funny cars here that are probably 8 feet apart, and usually when you put 2 of these things that close together, either an explosion, a fire, or something exciting is going to happen. So is that a fair statement?
That's a fair statement.
All right. Tell everybody who we got with us. Tell them who you are.
All right. This is Cooper Hayden. I'm here with my friend Bob Rossetti, who owns the Funny Farm.
Yeah.
And builds all of the nostalgia funny car bodies. I think there's 8 or 10 that he reproduces.
Well, you 2 guys spit fiberglass together, man. You y'all are the funny car body manufacturing gurus. I mean, but with Bob and with you, Cooper, because you did them all back in our old days. You know, unreal.
40 years apart.
40 years apart. Has the technology changed any?
I believe it's changed, but we still do it the old-fashioned way, like Cooper did it.
Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right.
I mean, you guys, and something that's really cool about a funny car body, there's a lot of manufacturers that make a lot of parts, but y'all put them to the test. You know what I mean? Anything exciting that goes on under the hood, the body's going to get the blunt of it.
That's for sure.
And so you got to build a pretty good product to live through all that stuff, you know?
Well, it's a balance of making it strong and light, and we're still working on the perfect one. We haven't done that yet. We learn with every one that we do.
All right, now, we're only talking to a couple of people. Is there a body I know all the new swoopy, aerodynamic, John Force flat nose cars and all that stuff are cool. But a nostalgia car, is there one body better than another?
Better?
As far we talked to our buddy George with the Corvette. And Corvette's got a bad rap for a long time of not handling. And that's a bunch of stuff. That's because the Moby Dick guys were party animals and they kept tearing it up. But is there a body that you think, being the manufacturer, that you think maybe handles better or better downforce or something?
I don't believe so. I think a lot of these guys will chase aerodynamics and make a big deal about it. But the bottom line is we set the all-time world's record at 555 in a square Chevy Vega with no aerodynamics at all.
Well, there you go. So you just proved my point there. Is there George said that there's absolutely nothing to the old Corvette rumor of the Corvettes being an ill handling or I guess you would call a doomed car. Is there anything to that?
The Corvette curse. Every one of them crashed there for a long time, but I think if you look at it, a lot of them were not related to the bodies.
I think you're right.
And possibly there was some deficiencies in the downforce in the back of the car, but they overcame it, obviously. McEwen went out and won a bunch of stuff with his.
Well, yeah, that sort of proves that if you put a gun in a good marksman's hands, he's going to hit the damn target.
Good way to put it.
And you put it in somebody's hand that hasn't got a clue, and it makes the gun look bad, and it makes them look bad. And I don't know. I always, of course, the old car I had, and Cooper had the same body on his old car. We had the Mustang 2s back then. And I always wanted a Corvette because being from Bowling Green, I mean, that's Corvette City, you know. And I could just envision me getting a Corvette sponsorship and all that stuff that I knew probably wouldn't happen anyway. But still, it was a good idea. And I wanted the Corvette really bad, and everybody said, oh, no, they're cursed. You can't do it. You can't do it. You can't do it. You know, and I'm glad to even though it's been how many years, Cooper? 30 years or something, and I finally found out for real hell I was right. You know, I should have done it.
Well, I want to tell a quick story on Bob Rossetti.
All right, good. Yeah, let's do it.
I met Bob some years back, and he had found Joe Giacona's Barracuda. It was called the Rolling Stone.
Okay.
And he had found Joe in Florida where he had retired, got his permission to reconstruct the car.
Okay.
Just as it was in those days. And to shorten this all up, it turned out beautiful. But here comes Joe, well over 70, and he goes to Frank Hawley's, and gets himself relicensed, and he crawls in that car here. And they race it here at Bowling Green.
Okay.
And it was awesome. But that's, I think, when Bob really got started chasing the funny cars.
Well, I don't know if that's when I got started, but that's when it got out of control.
There you go. Boy, you sound like every funny car racer I know.
Right.
No matter what, it's gone out of control.
I bought the car back in the 80s and raced it in a super comp class, and nobody really cared about it, thought it was cool or anything. And so I parked it in 93, and then around 2000 is when I dug it out and found out it was Joe's and looked him up. And my biggest fear when we hooked up was that he was going to want to drive it. And after hanging with him for a year or so, we all decided that it was the place for him to be, in the driver's seat. And he was 69 years old when he made his first pass in the second career there and drove it for 4 years, and we just absolutely had a ball.
Cooper, let me ask you something. Does the urge ever quit?
No, I'd go tomorrow.
Huh? I'm sorry.
I'd make a pass tomorrow.
You want to, still? You.
Yeah, it's...
it's
the funny car. Driving the funny car is. I've driven front motor dragsters for many years, and I love driving the funny car. You're on station longer. You make a longer burnout. You've got time backing up. You do the dry hops. They are a blast, but when you leave, you got your hands full. So
well, you know how I've heard
all the way to the end.
You know how I've heard it said better than anybody that I've ever heard. I asked an old buddy of mine, I said, what do you think about it? He said, it's real simple. It's like being on drugs and somebody buying it for you. You know, because it's one of the only cars that they pay you to show up, you know. Right. So you get to play and somebody else will pay you to do that, whether you win an event or not. And that makes a lot of sense to me, you know. I mean, I laughed when he first told me, and then I got to thinking about it, and hell, he's right. You know, he's exactly right. Don't you think so?
Absolutely.
It is addictive.
How many match races you run a year?
10.
Well, all right. They pay for this crazy stuff like this.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, that's the guys with the funny cars, no doubt, to me, are the smartest drag racers in the world. And of course, I'm partial. I'll tell you that up front, tell the world that, because I like them. I always have, always will. But, man, they're just cool now. They're just flat cool.
They certainly are.
You know.
Can we have a minute? Let's get Bob to tell us about his manufacturing operation, where it
That's
is.
good. That's great.
All
tell
the
us.
different kind of bodies that he does make. And are available.
Well, I pretty much started doing it because I couldn't find one, and I was building some chassis, and I did some work for a guy, and he had a mold for a Vega, and he didn't have any money, so he paid me with the mold, and we started making those. And some of the first ones were pretty ugly, but we made a Chevy Vega and cleaned it up and got it all like we wanted it, and then we made another mold, and it came out nice. So we've been adding to our collection, and there's 13 varieties that I make now, and
really?
We're continuing to do it, even though it's about as foolish as pouring nitromethane into a tank and expecting to make money at it. But
where exactly do you do this, sir?
Where?
Yeah,
Quakertown, Pennsylvania.
Okay, all right. And is there a website, or is there something people can go on there and look?
My website is funnyfarmfabrication.com.
Okay.
There's some pictures on there. There's some stuff that I have that's not on there yet.
We'll get a reason to come back. You know?
We'll get our web guy to get the pictures on there. I usually work so hard I don't have time to take pictures. But when I do, then I get them to the website guy, and he'll put them on there. But we're working on a Camaro now that nobody's seen yet, and I have a customer who's going to have the first one. Should be out within a month or so.
Well, you need to meet my Aussie buddy that we just had on here that from Australia that's over here with a Camaro. He's got a Camaro bodied car.
Yes.
And we were talking to him. He's a cool guy. You know, we kidded him about having the world's fastest kangaroo because he's got a kangaroo on the side of it. But nice fella.
What year Camaro, Bobby?
That's a 70 Camaro. Most of my stuff is as period correct as we can make it and still make it functional. Some of these other cars that they have now are morphed into something that doesn't look anything like they were, and we don't really like doing that. So most of my cars look like they did back in the 70s. The market demands that we stretch them and make them a little longer, but that doesn't stop us from shortening them back like my car here is 116-inch wheelbase.
That is short. That is short. I think the old Vega wagons, like the old Schumacher had one back, the bread deal.
Wonder
Wagon. Wonder Wagon or whatever. They were like 105 or something like that. I mean,
there were some real short ones.
That's fuel altered stuff. You know, that's not not funny car
years,
stuff.
All of mine were 120s.
Yeah, mine was 120.
And they went to 125.
Yeah.
Later.
Trying to make them like a limo where they drive good. That's what it is. Well, listen, my friend, thank you so much for Bob. Bob, thank you for joining us, and thank you for putting up with my old buddy here.
Well, thanks for having me, and it's a pleasure hanging out
now,
with Cooper.
Don't stay too close to Cooper out here. It's going to give you a bad reputation, you know. There's a lot of the stuff that he's done that the statute of limitations has not expired. So, you know, he had too much fun doing this, see.
Well, all I can say
hush, all right.
is thank God that the Rolling Stone can't tell stories, because if it could, we'd all be in jail.
Oh, well, we don't need to hear those. We don't need to. Guys, we are having a blast at Hot Rod Reunion. We never get enough of this, and we wish it was a week long and not just 3 days. But we're going to try to bring you all the good interviews that we can. We're going to stab and steer. Keep on riding. Thank you, guys, for joining us. We appreciate it. Thank you for being on Event Radio.
Thanks for having us.
And Cooper, we're going to have to give you a 1099 because you've been on so much, but that's okay. We enjoy it, and we really appreciate you guys being so good to us. We're going to stab and steer, guys. We will be right back. All right, guys, we are back, and the hits just keep on coming. Tell us who we got.
Jerry Cumry Jr., top fuel driver from California, driving Bob Bradley's Nitro Central from Florida.
Boy, you don't care which end of the country you're on, do you?
Have helmet, will travel.
That's you, buddy. Hey, that's the way a hired gun works, isn't it?
You know, I wouldn't consider myself a hired gun. Bob and I have been friends for a long, long time, and he and Lincoln Hassel were partners. Lincoln started running his own car again, and actually the two of them combined called and said, hey, we need to bring Jerry out. Let's get him back in the car, and so I've driven for Bob for a couple years now, on and off when he runs. We run sporadically, but great group of guys. And I mean, hey, how do you say no to a true small block Chevy on nitro?
Hey, buddy, I like it. You know, back a long time ago, I ran an alcohol funny car back in the 70s, and I ran a guy by the name of Kenny Cook, which back then you ran the dragsters and the funny cars, the alcohol cars together.
Yes,
you
sir.
know, Pro Comp.
Pro Comp.
Dale Armstrong was a dear buddy of mine. And Kenny Cook had a small block blown alcohol dragster that probably weighed about the same as my left thigh, you know. And boy, you talk about a guy that would beat you like a stepchild. Man, he was bad news.
Well, that car probably by half track was long gone before you even left. I mean, the car weighed, like you said, it didn't weigh nothing.
Actually, we did pretty good, and the only reason we did good is because Dale built the motors in my car.
Right.
But there was a lot of the southern shows for IHRA that there was 15 dragsters and us, and we were the only funny car in the program. So it ran good back then, but not good enough.
Well, if you're a Pro Comp guy, then I'm going to throw one at you.
Go ahead.
Spaghetti Bender's top alcohol dragster.
Sure, of course.
Steve Sampalo, the driver. Mario, his brother, the engine builder.
Of course.
Well, Steve Sampalo is my dad's godfather.
Really?
So I have been going to the races as long as I can remember. I asked my dad one time what was the first race I went to, and he said March Meet 68. You were about 1.5 and could get around.
Buddy, no offense, but I've got pants that were made in '68, so that's what.
Well, hey, you know, I can only do what I can only do.
Just an old guy, okay? You know, what can you say?
I guess now I'm considered a middle-aged race car driver.
Well, you're okay. Trust me, you're all right. it takes a little age and experience to. Number one, you got to realize that you got to be on your game because these things will bite you. A lot of people in sports, they compare this to some silly basketball game and baseball and football, and just like Dave Harada and I just finished talking about, there is no second bat, there is no second free throw. You got to do it right.
No, you don't get a pit stop in between to try and make a correction.
Yeah,
so,
they'll turn left again, right?
No, I mean, drag racing and specifically Nostalgia Top Fuel is it's a whole different breed of animal. I mean, I have the utmost respect for the guys that have been doing this for a long time and have been really good. Out on the West Coast where I met guys like Bill Dunlap and
I know who he is,
and that cast of characters. I mean, those are my heroes. I mean, I get to walk around and hang out with my heroes. And even this weekend, I'm here. Jim Murphy, who's actually a personal friend, we're from the same area. But, Jim is just, second to none. The guy's been doing it forever. And then, Harada here steps up from the, and I do mean steps up from his NHRA alcohol car. That car may be faster. But if you think it's easier because and all that, there is no
We talked
way.
about that, and he said the thrill factor is probably 2-to-1 in the front-motored fuel car,
you can. I'll tell you what. You can take your Disneyland ticket and you can go ride everything they got that's an E-ticket ride. I got an F-ticket ride for you because it's one step beyond that.
There you go. Yeah. It sort of makes that. What is it? Space Mountain a little lame.
Space Mountain's Space Mountain's a kiddie ride. This is on these cars. You got to man up, hike up your skirt, and go play.
We talked a little bit earlier about the difference in the front motor and the rear motor car. The front motor car. Will let you get a little out of shape, and you can correct it because you realize it sooner because you're in the caboose, you're in the back. But the rear engine car, you're in the middle, and that thing can get almost crossed up, and you don't know it.
This is very true. I mean, you can be what you think is a little out of shape. You don't realize that you got 8 feet of race car behind you that's in the other lane, and you don't even know it. Now, when this car, once you've made laps, and probably Harada would tell you the same thing or already did, that once you get some laps in it, you begin to get comfortable, but I will tell you, don't get too comfortable because when you do, that's when she'll bite, she'll come and bite you. But I would tell you, sitting over the rear end, people are like, oh my gosh, how could you do that? And don't, the thing is, when you sit over the rear end, I mean, if that thing hiccups, you feel it. You feel it. And see, this is the ultimate in seat of the pants driving because it's reality.
Yeah, it like everything in life, it has its pluses and minuses. The plus side, should you get a little crazy and lose a little bit of control, you actually have a rubber bumper on each side and a roll cage on top. So it's going to be sort of a rough ride, but your odds of being good are okay. Now the fire factor comes in, and you lose all that confidence. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. The fire factor, I mean, we all know it exists, and it's one of those things that, we go into it knowing. The fire factor's there. You don't see as much, in all honesty, because of the way that the cars have evolved safety-wise and what goes on.
Right.
Really, the oil factor is probably the hardest one because when these things puke oil, I got news. It seems like no matter what comes out of that car, there's a vector, and it goes right to your face mask.
Yeah,
every time.
and you're blind. You're
blind.
riding blind right there.
I mean, we all, and it's funny because actually when Harada came out to the March meet, I'm all, do you have tear-offs? And he's all like, no. I'm all, you do now.
You better get them.
I handed him some. I'm like, it's a necessary thing because at least with a tear-up, like the sprint car guys, you go up, you reach up, you take that thing off, and at least you got some more vision even if things are coming.
For a minute or two, anyway.
But that minute or two is huge in these things to make sure you're in your lane and you can get on the brakes, get the parachutes out, all those little things that are there for your safety you can at least get to because, 30 seconds of vision is everything.
Right. Well, I tell you what, buddy, you're our heroes or our horse in Kentucky if you guys never win a race because we absolutely love watching the front motor fuel cars. We are a little partial to the funny cars. I can't help it. I did that.
I got a funny car license. It's okay.
That's cool. You're all right. Hey, you're one of the double threat guys.
Oh, have wheels, have helmet, will travel.
Now, who's this pretty girl that's hanging out with you?
This young lady here is my daughter, Sabrina. She is also licensed in a front motor car.
You're kidding me.
My daughter told me when she turned 16 and got her regular license, she pulls me aside, and I get, so when do I get my other license? And I'm like, what other license? She goes, I want my racing license. I said, well, I got some friends with super comp cars. She's all, no. She goes, anyone with a skirt can drive a back motor car, Dad.
Oh, whoa, all right.
Where did I get the saying from?
You know what? What's it like growing up with this guy? You know, I'm gonna put him on the spot. It's Father's Day tomorrow, and
Father's Day.
Yeah. I'm trying to help you out, buddy, where she'll at least get you something.
I should just walk away now.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Tell me, how much good advice does he give, and how much stuff that you think's off the wall?
Well, he's a bit crazy. I mean, you got to be to drive, right? But because of him, I've been coming out to the races, and I love it. I have like a second family out here, and he's always saying, be nice, make the connections, and people will help you out. And he's a good dad, you know.
Let me tell you something, sweetie. I've been doing this a long, long time, and the people you're meeting right now will be your friends for the rest of your life. And it doesn't matter if it's 20 years from the time you've seen them. They're going to like you just as much 20 years from now as they do right now today. And I think Dad will agree to that.
Oh, the people that I've met, in my travels and experiences, and, I look back at people who've had a thumbprint on my career and helped me out and put in a word for me and made contacts and things like that. I mean, the list is so long, it's gotten to be... I mean, the one that stands out more than anything else is I got a call from a gentleman with a front motor car a couple years back, and he's like, well, we're talking about it, we're bouncing things around. He goes, I've talked to a couple people and, got some references back, and he goes, I have to tell you that a lot of people speak very highly of you, and he goes, you need to thank Dale Poldy. And I'm like...
I know Dale.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
And so Dale and I have crossed paths, and he's treated me really well, and because... Mark Lee, who worked for him as a crew chief, and I have been friends. Mark came out with us when I drove the Foothill Flyer. And, whether it was a first-hand or second-hand, when somebody like Dale Poldy says, hey, he's a good kid, give him a shot, you can't ask for anything more.
Dale's a good guy. He's a nice guy. I got to ask you something, sweetie. What's going to happen? I'd love to be a fly on the wall on this one. And you get one of these old guys, that you're a pretty girl, and one of these guys on a date, and he says, I've got a fast car. What that ought to be the biggest joke of the century. Can you imagine going out with a real pretty gal and you're talking about how quick your Mustang is and with what she's set in? What would you tell him? Or would you just laugh at him, huh?
You just have to crack up. You have to laugh.
Well, it's amazing, and the thing I think that's so cool, and we just talked about this a minute ago. Young lady, you are in a sport that, number one, is so cool because it's family. It's not a I did, it's a we did.
Yep.
And you're in a thing that will automatically teach you respect. But I think Dad's done a pretty good job of it. But still, the race cars and the racetrack, in a roundabout way, can teach you a whole lot of stuff.
No.
I mean, a lot of stuff.
I love it. I don't know what I'd do without racing. Honestly, if I hadn't been around it, I don't understand how I could come out to know all these people, have like a second family. I love it, to be honest.
Well, I tell you what, it's cool to have you on this show. I mean, we really appreciate you doing that, and you're a lot prettier than Dad.
That doesn't say a whole heck of a
lot. I'm telling you, it does. What are you talking about? Hey, I'm just old. I'm not blind. All right. No, we're playing. Future. Maybe rear motor top fuel car, HRR one of these days, or are you going to stay with the nostalgia stuff?
I prefer the nostalgia stuff. It's where my family's at. It's where everyone I know and love is at. And, well, I like the front motor better.
I think that's cool. Well, hey, you know what? You can come to Kentucky and see your old fat buddy here because we do a lot of events here. And we'll stop by and say hi to you, and you can keep us updated on what you're doing. How about that?
Love that. Thank you.
And if you've got anybody out west that you want to say hi to, because this little show goes all over the world.
Hi to everyone that knows me.
What about in school when you tell them you drive a top fuel dragster? What do they say then?
It's always fun trying to explain it. I mean, I've drawn out pictures for friends, and it's an interesting topic to explain. They're like...
How many of them don't believe you?
Well, everyone... I've been going racing my whole life. Everyone knows I go out to the races all the time, so...
What we're going to do is we got a deal, because I drive a fuel car out on the West Coast as well. So we've got a deal at Sears Point during the Division 7 race, the middle of July. And so she's going to bring a bunch of her friends out. They get to come hang out at the races and see the kind of cars that she does. And so it'll be kind of a... we're going to give them all a little reality check.
That'll be cool. That will be neat. Well, guys, listen, it has been our pleasure and honor to have you on Event Radio. We, this is a double threat here. We're sort of getting twice the pay for one admission, and it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun, and we're envious. We're fans, old guys that just have a lot of fun, but we know some of the steps you're going to take as you get older, and be safe, have a good time, and build memories that nobody can ever take that away.
Yep.
Thank you very much for the time. Pleasure meeting you guys. So glad that you're out here. And anyone who hasn't been to this event, you need to put this on your calendar. This reunion at Bowling Green is a must attend. If you are into drag racing, hot rods, cars, people, food, I don't care what it is, what your clique is.
And we're far enough south you can have sweet tea, too.
I got my son's here with us, 12 years old. That kid's hooked on sweet tea. Last night he had sweet tea and catfish. I don't know if I'm going to get him back into California.
Hey, buddy, it's all right. Trust me. I've been to California. There's a couple of places out there that know what sweet tea is.
Yeah. So, but we really appreciate it. And again, people who are into racing, you got to put this event on your calendar. This Bowling Green reunion, I tell you what, beyond just being a racer, I mean, as a racer, you come around the corner, you look at the grandstands, they're packed, and you know what? You can go out, you can hit the throttle, go up and smoke an idle down, and that crowd's going to stand up and give you love because they just appreciate racing. They're out here because they enjoy it. And I know for me as a racer, I want to put on a good show for these folks because they deserve it.
That's the cool part about the nostalgia stuff. You guys do put on a good show all the time.
We try.
Guys, we're going to get out here and stab and steer and try to spin this golf cart around. We may even – no, we won't do a fire burnout. Dale Funk eliminated our fire burnout deal.
Come over by my pit later.
No, we can't do that. Guys, we're going to get out here and play. Thank you so much, guys, for being on Event Radio. We really appreciate it. We're going to ride, guys. Let's take a little listen to one of our sponsors, and we will be right back. All right, guys, we can go all over the Hot Rod Reunion. We will not come up on a greater legend anywhere in the place, a gentleman that is known worldwide that needs no introduction, but I'm going to try to do the best I can, okay? The one and only Mr. Don Gartlitz. How are you, sir?
I'm great. Nice to be here. Nice to be above the grass.
Always good to be above ground.
That's it.
Let me ask you something. A lot of people don't know this, but I've been around a day or two. Are UFOs real? Are UFOs real?
Yes, they are. I told a guy, they asked me, he said, "Do you believe in UFOs?" I said, "No, I don't believe in them. I know about them."
That's where I was getting to, and you don't remember this, but I sat and talked to you in Atlanta one time at a rain out, and I had an old funny car, and we were eating pizza, and you explained that to me. And I've never forgotten it, and I've looked at that completely different since I heard that from you.
Yeah, over the years, I've seen enough of them at different times and different places to know that it wasn't something that we built. Way back in '69, I saw one near the White Patterson that just was a big disc in the sky just over the treetops. I mean, that thing turned into just a spot so quick as it went into deep space, you wouldn't believe it. So, we didn't build stuff like that. We ain't building it today.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and you're a smart fella. I mean, a lot of people know how smart you are in drag racing, but they don't know the real Don Gartlitz and the stuff that you're a very well-educated gentleman on a lot of different subjects. And I think it's cool to get to spend a couple of minutes and talk to you.
Yeah, there's two subjects, archaeology and UFOs go together like ham and eggs, and then the economy. I'm talking about the world economy, not the economy in any different region. I've studied that all my life. I have a complete library, more books than you'd be required to read if you had a professorship. I know about these things, and there's some things you just can't gloss over, even though they try it. The government tries to gloss everything over, but the economy is one of my really, because I am an accountant by trade. I have a diploma in accounting, and it's just numbers.
CPA, isn't it? Isn't it a CPA degree?
No, I don't have nothing like that. Just a plain degree. But that's enough to get you started.
Yeah, I guess that's enough to get. That's enough you get to figure out how to keep your dollars together.
Well, that's exactly right. That's why everything I do turns a bottom line. I don't do nothing unless there's a bottom line to it. And people don't understand that. I remember Shirley accused me one time, said, if you're so damn rich, how come you ain't got a new truck, a new trailer, new uniforms? I said, because, honey, I'm buying commercial real estate with the money.
Yeah, and everybody, guys, if you have not been to the Gone Gartlett's Museum of Drag Racing right out of Ocala, you need to go. It is, if you're not a drag race fan, you will be by the time you leave there.
Well, all you got to do is care anything about automobiles, and you'll like it, because we trace the automobile back to the 1900s in a separate museum. And then, of course, we trace drag racing back to the 40s. We have the original dragster that was called a rail when Dick Kraft took the body off of it in 1949 at Santa Ana. We have the car. He never got rid of it. He saved it, and he gave it to the museum before he died.
Well, I tell you what, I've been every time we get anywhere close, that is a must stop for us and a must go. I don't care if you've been through it 20 times. It's cool every time.
Oh, yeah. Well, we are always changing in the first place, and we've always added so much more. We just added a 7,500 square foot building. I give private tours now when I'm there and take you in, show you engines. I have a couple of Arden flathead Ford. That's a Hemi conversion for a flathead Ford. I have several of them that run that the people can actually see me start them up. They're on run stands, and I've been doing that, and I've got tons of stuff. Just all kinds of interesting things.
I believe the last time I was there, you came down in a 50 Mercury, the best of my memory. Really a good-looking chop-top car. I mean, it was sharp. I liked it.
Yeah, that was Fonz's car from the Happy Days show. It was Rudy's Green Flame on the show, and when I got it, it was stripped to the metal, so I didn't put it back like that. I didn't care for the green flames. And it had an Oldsmobile engine in it, and I took that out, put a Hemi in it, and painted it to suit myself. And I drove it a lot. I'm not driving it right now. I restore a car, and then I'll put maybe 10,000 miles on it. Then I'll get another one. And I'm finishing up on a 42 Ford Coupe, which I drive a lot. It's a total frame off, but I'm working on a 27T Roadster right now with an Arden flathead in it. That'll be my next driver.
Well, I tell you what, it's always a trip to get to go there, and an honor for us to get to talk to you on this radio show and tell you, I wish you had been the senator. Then, you know what I mean, when you ran for that deal, was it Congress or Senate, or which one was it?
It was Congress in 1994, and it's probably a good thing I didn't win that. I'd probably be dead by now.
Well, now you're not corrupt enough to be there.
My own congressman told me that, because I was running in a different district, and he said, well, why didn't you lie a little? I said, Cliff, we were on first name basis. I said, I was trying to take the high road. He said, oh, you take the high road if you get up there. That is if you want to.
Well, you know, when all that was going on and you were running, I wondered, I said, how in the world is he going to be a political office? I said, this guy is an honest, straight guy. He won't fit in with those boys.
Well, I would have been a Ron Paul, and they'd called me Dr. No, like
yeah,
they did him. And look how he was ostracized from everything. Man should have been the next president of the United States. He was the best man for the job, but he wouldn't have been able to do anything. The entire Congress and Senate and the Justice Department, the whole bunch is totally corrupt. We are actually living under the most corrupt regime that this planet has ever seen. And the wars, we've killed more people than all of them put together.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I don't understand why
Iraq right now. What all those guys that died in Iraq?
What's the
point? They're running over Baghdad right now.
Well, you know, those guys have fought for 1,000 years. There's nothing we're going to do that's going to change that.
Let them fight.
Sure.
I mean, if there wasn't any oil there, you wouldn't even read one word about it in the newspaper.
You're exactly right. You're exactly right.
But you know what the deal is? We got more oil than they got. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
But what they're doing, as long as we can trade paper dollars for their oil and save ours, that's just exactly what we're going to do, because the oil will eventually run out, and then we'll have our own oil.
So that you think that's a good thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah,
okay,
as long as they'll give us oil for paper. Now, I guarantee you we'd never buy another drop of oil if they said all your oil will now have to be paid for in gold. That'd be the end of buying the oil. We'd be drilling for our own tomorrow.
All right, you're the and we should be talking drag racing sitting here at the
I know we should be instead of
but
economics.
That's okay. But no, we shouldn't, because is there a chance of getting it straightened out? It's all right. It'll be all right.
Is there what?
Is there a chance of it straightening itself out? Will that happen?
Of straightening it out?
Yes.
No, it's beyond the tipping point.
Okay.
What we've done here with this country, we've allowed too many people to come into the country and too many people to breed that don't produce. And the producers are getting less and less, and it's making it harder and harder to get by. And I don't think we can do anything about that. We just have to let it run itself out, pay the penalty, which is going to be mean. When I say mean, we're talking blood in the streets, and the strong will come through that.
Well, I tell you what, I could spend days talking to you because not only I have the utmost respect for everything that you have done throughout your career, but I have respect for Don Gartlett's knowledge as well as the racing knowledge. And
you mentioned my electric dragster.
I hadn't yet. I was going to.
Okay.
Did it run 200?
Not yet.
It
184. We've had a little trouble with it, but we will go 200. We're trying to do something that will help the sport in the future, long term, something that's sustainable over a long period of time. Anybody that would watch drag racing today would realize that Top Fuel and funny cars not sustainable, not the attrition that they have, and we're going to have something to take their place. Now, plus, we live with a problem that the Environmental Protection Agency or Homeland Security could cancel Top Fuel and funny car tomorrow with a stroke of a felt pen. And they might, so you got to be ready for that.
Well, I tell you what, there's nobody on the planet that could get it ready as well as you. I believe that you could figure out a way to engineer a marble that where you would be able to win in a marble contest better than anybody else on the planet. You know.
Well, that may be a little bit exaggerated, but
I don't. That was just an example.
I do focus on what I want to do, so.
Well,
I stay focused on it. That's a good part. I tell young people that one: do what you love and stay focused.
That's a fact. I agree 100%. Guys, as bad as I hate to, he's letting his ice cream melt, and that's the cardinal sin. I know. That's how you judge it.
You're gonna have to buy me another one.
Well, I can do that, buddy. I got about that much money left, and I know you'll work out my economic situation where I probably can buy 2 of them, but that'll be okay. But the gentlemen, guys, we always, on this radio show, we always save the very best for last, and that is what we have done. The gentleman that needs no introduction to anybody that has even a remote clue of what drag racing is. This guy is drag racing. You are the man that has you couldn't fill up everything you've done in 4 or 5 radio shows.
No.
It would, no, really.
They got 5 books that are written about it all.
Well, and they probably don't tell it all.
No, they sure don't.
They can't. First, let me give you our condolences on Miss Gartlett's. She was a very nice lady. I had the pleasure of meeting her one time.
Yeah, 61 years, great woman.
Yes, very nice lady. Much better than you or I either deserve to know.
Oh, yeah, we didn't deserve nothing like that. That's true.
Secondly, thank you for everything that you've done to keep these guys safe, the innovations that you have done and you have caused to be done to make it safe for these guys to go out and do what they love.
Well, it made it safer for myself.
I understand
or else
that.
I wouldn't be here.
I understand that, but think about all the people that followed that and you're the cause, okay? Third, thank you for entertaining the millions of people that you have in this world that have enjoyed watching you do what you love and do so well. And last but not least, thanks for just being a good guy.
Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
Well, the one and only, guys, and I got to go because he's going to eat too doggone much ice cream and I won't be able to afford to buy it. But the one and only Mr. Don Gartlett, thank you for being on Event Radio. It has been our honor. It has been our pleasure. And we look forward to about 1 million more interviews. How about that?
Thank you.
All righty. We'll be right back, guys. Well, T-Bone, it's been a long day, my friend.
But it's been a good one.
You know, can you imagine with all the people we've got to talk to, can you imagine what some people would give to sit in our seat and get to sit and talk to these people?
Mr. Don Gartlett's, I mean, you know, you got Elvis in rock and roll, you got Earnhardt in NASCAR, you got Bart Markle in motorcycles, and we had the king in drag racing.
Yeah, we had the one and only Mr. Don Gartlett's. And did you ever think that he would be interested in all the subjects that he's interested in to be a world-class drag racer too.
Smart man, very smart,
buddy. I'm telling you. And then
makes me want to move to Florida just to be able to vote for him if he runs for Congress again.
Yeah, no kidding. And then you think about, we went and sat down with Kenny Harada less than 30 minutes after he was a ball of flame. I mean,
balls of fire.
Yeah, almost a crispy critter, a front engine top fuel explosion, and he just sat there and rode it out. And when he talked to us on the radio, I poked him a couple of times, probably to keep him going to sleep, you know.
I think we was more nervous than he was.
Yeah, I'm sure we were. No wonder that they run the Hot Rod Reunion for 3 days. Can you imagine trying to cover them all in one day?
No, there's no way. But actually, Spivvy, I wish we'd have it like Daytona Bike Week, have Bowling Green Hot Rod Reunion for a week.
For a whole week.
Week.
Boy, that would be fun, wouldn't it? Give us something to do at night to go over there and watch them spin the tires. You know?
Yeah.
That was fun.
Or get into the tire company and sell them tires on the way home.
Well, I left before you last night. Did the police finally run everybody off? Or
well, the police was there with their blue lights directing people not to come in that way. Of course, you couldn't see anyway for all the smoke.
Boy,
but they'd look left and somebody'd go right, or they'd look right and somebody'd go left. So it was.
But all in all, they were pretty cool.
It was good. The police was good. I mean, they just make an appearance, which they should, because some people were getting a wee bit out of hand.
Surely not.
But
you wouldn't think so.
But a few adult beverages, I guess, was consumed. But it was a good time for all. And we went by there today, of course. You know, when we drove by, and it looked like Beach Bend's drag strip.
Yeah, it looked like a starting line.
Yeah, they
right
had a Christmas tree out there. Everything would be right.
Yeah, it was probably the starting line wasn't much blacker than the street was out there in front of the convention center where they had so much fun last night.
If anybody hadn't been, they ought to put it on their calendar, because it's 3 days. It's not 3 days rock and roll. It's 3 days hot rod and rock and roll.
Yeah, it's a fun time. The Hot Rod Reunion is one of my favorites that we go to, because I guess because I know so many of the old guys.
Oh, it was just like last year, Spivvy. Every time you turn around, somebody hollered, "Hey, Spivvy!"
Yeah.
Y'all get to talking them old stories that have everybody. Before long, y'all have a crowd trying to listen in and see what y'all was talking about.
Oh well, it was just fun. We had a lot of fun growing up and going through it, and I really like that event because it's like deja vu to me. I get to relive a real fun time in my life and see all the people that shared it with me. And man, it's just great. And I'm sure when we get to one of the bike events where there's a lot of speedway guys and stuff like that, you'll be the same way.
Well, I hope so. I hope most of them are still above ground or not in the penitentiary.
Well, they'll be all right. I'm telling you.
You know what? Like I said yesterday, we drive around there and see all them neat cars that when we was 10, 12 years old, we used to walk through there together and look at them. And who would have thought a million years later they're out there running the same kind of cars? I mean, it brought back a whole lot of memories.
Oh yeah.
Good memories.
Yeah, we actually were very fortunate. We grew up in the best time in history, I think, with as far as the car era. The cars were so important when we grew up, and the imports and stuff like that are important to these kids nowadays to a point. But to us, that was living, that was life, and just like a little later on, we're going to get 3 of the old 60s disc jockeys on here, and we're going to do our tribute to the Beach Boys song, "That's Why God Made the Radio."
Which is true.
Yeah, which is true. But we're going to get them and how important the car culture and the radio were together. Man, I tell you what, it was the greatest time in the world to grow up, I mean. And Hot Rod Reunion.
I'm not grown up yet.
Well, I hope not. I hope I'm not either. But Hot Rod Reunion, boy, brings all of that back to you and lets you do it again. And you get to do it every Father's Day. We get to go our separate hot rod ways here and start covering a bunch of stuff for our number 2 year of Event Radio, which this was the kickoff for it. I hope everybody enjoyed us getting the shows on there as early as we did. We're going to try to do that a lot this time on events that were close enough to be able to do that. And these shows, the Hot Rod Reunion shows, where most of our shows run 24/7, of course, this will too, but all 3 shows will be run this following week. Day 1 will be Monday and Tuesday. Day 2 will be Wednesday and Thursday. And day 3, the show you're listening to now, will be Friday and Saturday of the following week. Then, of course, on our archive page, all 3 of them will be there for you to do on demand. So we hope you've enjoyed it half as much as we've enjoyed doing it.
If you hadn't enjoyed it, no offense, but something's wrong with you.
Yeah, you've hit your head too many times.
You just don't like automobiles.
That's it. Guys, thank you so much. Of course, we never quit without thanking our sponsors. We could not even begin to do it without them. The great people at Beach Bend Park and Splash Lagoon, Beach Bend Raceway Park,
Quick Fuel Technology, and Final Finish.
And, of course, Gearhead Gazette, which is your way to find out, guys, where everything's happening and when it is and what's going to go on. All you got to do is go to GearheadGazette.com, and every schedule of everything that's cool is in there.
And tell them you heard about it on our show, and tell them you appreciate it, because we sure do.
We sure appreciate them. T-Bone, I've had about all the fun that an old fat guy can have. How about you?
It's about time to say bye.
Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us on the premiere edition of the Hot Rod Reunion, our number 2 year starting point. We hope you hang in there with us a bunch this year, and we really appreciate it, and we will talk to you again.
You've been listening to Event Radio, covering local drag racing, stock car racing, motorcycles, go-karts. If it's got wheels and you can race it, you heard about it here. Event Radio is motorsports radio on steroids. Join us next time with your hosts, Spivey Williams and Terrible T Guy.